Alright, so over the holidays I finally got the chance to watch the new live-action version of Disney's Mulan. And I went into it expecting an absolute lifeless cash grab of a movie. But you know what? I actually kinda liked it. I know, it's an unpopular opinion, but let me just tell you what it was that I liked about it. These are the 5 reasons I liked Disney's Mulan. And first off, I just need to preface this with I didn't think this film needed to be made. I love the Disney classics, I love Mulan. I don't think they need to remake all these films for new audiences because the animated films are so timeless that everyone can enjoy them. I think these remakes are absolutely unnecessary, and more often than not they end up completely losing all of the heart and charm of the originals. And that's pretty much what I expected from the remake of Mulan as well. So imagine my surprise when I actually liked it. Alright, let's get into it. Here's reason number 1 I liked it. The film starts off with this beautiful variation on the classic Disney castle opening. I would have loved it even more if it had been like an actual Chinese temple instead of, you know, a more European looking castle. But I gotta say, I always really like when they do these variations on the opening. They kinda help set you in the universe and get you in the right mood. In general, I just thought the film was beautiful. There are some incredible landscapes and some really cool images along the way. So if for nothing else, at least it's pretty to look at. Reason number 2. While the animated version is a bit more simple, which to me for most of the time is a good thing, I do think that Mulan's motivation for joining the army is a bit more fleshed out in the remake. In the original, she takes off because she sees it as the only option to save her father. If her father had joined the army, he would have probably died because of his previous injuries. But it's not like she actually wants to join the army. She just doesn't think her father should do it. She actually has second thoughts, and it's not till Mushu shows up and convinces her that she actually joins. And the only reason Mushu wants her to join is because he wants her to come home as a war hero so it'll look good on him. In the remake, she's shown to have this special skill in the form of her chi. She loves running around and fighting, but she's told to hide her chi away because it's only for warriors, aka men. She knows she has this ability and that she'd actually be better in the war than her injured father. She believes that it really should be her to go, and that it's only because she's a woman that she's not allowed. I think this makes sense. It makes her choice seem like more of a calculated decision rather than a spur-of-the-moment kind of panic thing. I mean, if she didn't know she could fight, why would she ever even think that it was an option that she volunteered instead of her father? So while I don't think this change was completely necessary, I do think it makes sense for the character. Reason number 3. One of the major ways in which this film differs from the original animated movie is with the addition of the witch Shanyang. I have no idea how to actually pronounce that. My first thoughts when I learned about this witch was that it was silly that they were adding more characters to the story who weren't even there in the original animated version, especially when considering that they removed Mushu in his entirety. And I gotta admit that I still don't think the addition of the witch was strictly necessary. But I do like the idea of this character and that she functions as sort of a reflection of Mulan. Reflections are obviously a big theme in the animated film. We see it in the iconic shot of Mulan looking at herself in the sword, and also several other times throughout the film. And while I don't think the reflection imagery is as present in this movie, I still think that the idea of having this dark reflection of Mulan is pretty cool. The witch sort of represents what Mulan could have been and what people are afraid that she would be, but Mulan defies that and shows that there's another way. She shows that there can be a world where women can be warriors too. But like I said, the reflection theme is sort of put on the back burner in this film, and instead we get this theme of rebirth with the phoenix. So the witch as a reflection isn't really fully utilized, but I still think the idea was good. Reason number 4. Like I already mentioned, Mushu was removed entirely from this film. And that's obviously not a good thing. Mushu's freaking great. But one of the reasons given by director Niki Caro for eliminating Mushu from the story was that they really wanted to explore Mulan's loneliness and her relationship with her fellow soldiers in this film. With Mushu there, he would have probably somewhat distracted from that. Mulan wouldn't have had as much of a reason to really get close with the other guys if she had had Mushu to talk to. And I think that kinda makes sense. In some of these remakes of the Disney classics, the characters can sometimes lose a bit of personality and Many times it doesn't really make sense to redo the story in live action. But there was one scene in this film that I thought worked really well, specifically because it was in live action. About halfway through the film, there's this scene just before they're about to go into battle where Mulan and some of the guys are sitting around a fire. They've just arrived at a burned out village and seen an entire battalion that's been killed. And for the first time, it really hits them what they're about to get into. And they're really scared. And this scene around the fire is just such a human moment. I think that's one of the best scenes in the entire film. And I don't think this scene would have been possible or would have had the same impact if you had had a comic relief character like Mushu. So while I miss Mushu, his absence was kind of what made this scene possible. And this scene was great. Alright, here is the final reason why I liked Mulan 2020. Reason number 5. This movie was its own. It didn't try to constantly play to our nostalgia for the original film. When you have something like The Lion King, which is legitimately just a shot-for-shot remake of the original film, it makes no sense. There's no reason to even make that movie. I mean, maybe as a YouTube video, you know, Lion King with RTX. At least the filmmakers behind Mulan thought they could do something new, something different with the story. Some of it worked, some of it didn't, but at least they tried. And I really respect that. At first, when I was watching this film, I was looking for all the differences and sort of laughing at all the silly changes, but along the way, I sort of just forgot about the original film and just enjoyed this film on its own. The Ballad of Mulan is an ancient story. As far as I'm informed, it's from sometime around the 6th century. So to think that Disney's animated version is the quintessential correct adaptation is just ridiculous. It can obviously be interpreted and adapted in a ton of different ways, and I ultimately don't see Mulan 2020 as a remake of the animated Disney film, but instead as a new adaptation of the Ballad of Mulan. So there you have it, those were my 5 reasons why I enjoyed Mulan. But what do you think? Have you seen the new version of Mulan? Do you agree with my points, or do you think I'm full of shit? Let me know in the comments down below. But that's pretty much all I had for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want more Disney analysis from me, then gently caress that subscribe button. But until next time, take care and so long.